Hi, Chris. Thank you for joining me on the podcast. How are you doing?
All right.
Uh,
Finally,
what you say? Sorry.
I said we finally made it.
Yeah, we've had it planned a while, haven't we? But yeah, it's good to get into it. And thank you for joining me. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you.
So Madness, you've played a decent amount of shows since May in America, the UK, and Ireland. Is there a
Yeah.
favourite show that stands out?
That's always a difficult one. The last one. Yeah, the last one we did was in Galway. It was really good. I mean, they've all been pretty good actually. Um, really, do you know what I mean? It's hard to pick a favourite one because you're bound to upset someone, aren't you? Right? Why didn't you? You know, but yeah, Galway was pretty good actually. Yeah, Galway Airport. And I said, why aren't we flying home from Galway Airport? And it's a disused airport. Yeah, well, you just think airport, didn't you? I didn't find out till I got there, you know. But that was good, yeah.
Is it
Good
hard to
fun,
pick a
yeah.
set list these days?
When we did the last tour, we did an album last year, and I was quite insistent that we did a lot of new ones, and it was quite difficult because a couple of the band didn't want to, because I don't know, because it's easier to just do greatest hits. But yeah, we did a lot of new ones. So then for this tour, we cut it down and we just did four from the new album. So, the set list is pretty, it changes. There's songs that come in and out, you know. I mean, we're lucky we've had like about 20 hits. You could just come out and do every song could be a single, you know. All right, they weren't all like they weren't all top 10. But we could do that. And I don't think many people can do that. But, we like to have like Bed and Breakfast Man has been there since the year dot. Um, so yeah, it's there's a kind of structure, you know, that we sort of stick to, and then it gets boring doing the same things, but people enjoy it.
Well, you mentioned there the new album came out last year. What was it like getting a new record out, and how did the album come about?
Well, it came about because we've always, if you get us in a room, someone's always going to go, "I've got a song," you know, and we have a place that we rehearse in, which is really just an industrial unit. It's nothing special. And I said, why don't we like record it in here? Which is that, and that's what we did. We got this brilliant guy called Matt Glazeby. He's an engineer and producer, and he was a kind of grown up, because we had all these songs and we wrote them all on the wall, and then we'd sit and listen to them, and we'd slowly select songs, and we were very. It was very enjoyable. It was very enjoyable, and it wasn't. These things always become pressurized. But we recorded 19 songs, right? So I was like, I thought we'll never be able to pick what ones go on the album because this band can't decide on anything. If you say, do you want it blue or red? Someone will go, well, what sort of red? What sort of blue? So I was like, right, put all put all 19 songs on the album. And I think Woody and Lee agreed with me. And then some of the others like, oh no, you only need 12, It's like, why, we've written all these songs. We could easily write another 19. Yeah, right, not that. Do you know what I mean? I like to just get it out, not sit on it for 10 years. Anyway, it kind of went on with this ongoing argument, right? Or indecision. And the record company, they were a bit they were a bit like, oh, 19, so I mean, it's the modern age, isn't it? You get it, the kids, they go on Spotify and they go, well, I don't want to, it's not like it's not like they're on vinyl and you have to like lift the needle up, even though a lot of our fans, like vinyl and they like CDs, you know. So it went on. And then there was a suggestion of doing 2 albums, you know, with 10 tracks. And I just thought you're really diluting it. So in the end, you know, I was trying to get some kind of decision, you know. And I said, okay, you know, I dropped one of mine. We dropped about, what was it, 5 songs, you know, and ended up with a 14 track, you know, which I think is really good. I think it's one of our best albums, but I say that every time we do an album. But I think it is very good, you know, it's very good. And yeah, we were all very pleased with it.
Yeah, it is a good album. I enjoyed the album. So that's the present day. I just want to go back to the start, really. What was your childhood like, and when did you first take an interest in music?
Um, in my childhood, you grew up with my brother and my mum and dad, and then they split up when I was quite young. When I was about 13, and you know that's when you know I was friends with Lee and Mike. So I think you know we missed the 50s, you know, musically, but we had like the 60s, you know, the Beatles, the 70s, and then of course along we came in the 80s. And so we had a really, I think everyone in the band has always had a very eclectic taste in music, you know. All right, they don't all like kind of heavy metal or AC/DC, but I do, you know. Although Lee likes it actually, no, but so you know so I grew up, yeah, I mean I grew up, yeah, my dad was a singer and he sung folk songs, but they were more like those Cockney musical songs, you know. And he tried to get me interested in playing the guitar, but I wasn't really interested until I was about 20. And Lee saw one in a shop, a guitar, and he went, "You've got to go and get, you know, you know, it's all because of Lee." Um, I went and bought this cheap guitar for 20 quid, you know, and the three of us, Lee, Mike, and myself, started kind of practicing and learning how to play music, you know. So that's how it started. But yeah, obviously I grew up, you know, with all kinds of musical influences and, you know, listening to music all the time. That was all I ever did.
I know Ian Dury was a big influence on the band, and the last music he recorded was with the band. So was that kind of a full circle moment for you?
Yeah, he was a big influence. You know, he had this band called Kilburn and the High Roads. And that was our template, you know, because it was, you know, they had a keyboard, they had a sax player, and their songs were really interesting. They weren't, yeah, they were funny. They were about people, you know, like Suggs writes songs about people. You know, he's very good at that. And so we really liked them. Yeah, and we got to know them, and we got to know Ian. And then Lee had written this song called Drip Fred, and he was in Holland in a hotel, and Ian Dury came in the hotel. It wasn't just, I think maybe he wanted to ask him anyway. So we asked him to sing on it. But yeah, you know, I mean, it's very sad, really. You know, I first saw him in London. There's a place called the Forum. You know, it's a venue, and it was called a few other things before that. It was a cinema when I was a kid. Opposite there was a pub called the Tally Ho, and the Tally Ho was one of those pub rock places. And Lee and I used to go there and watch the bands. You know, we were like right underage, but it didn't really matter. And we saw this poster saying next week Kilburn and the High Roads. We thought, we've got to go and see him, you know. And saw Ian Dury. You know, the first time I saw him, he had a bow tie on and a black suit. And I thought he worked in the pub, you know. So I said, when are the band on? And he went, oh, I don't know, mate. Anyway, we got to know him. Yeah, and really, you know, tragically, yeah, you say it came full circle. When he died, we went to his funeral. And he sort of stipulated he wanted two of Madness to carry his coffin. You know, so I thought, well, it'd be Suggs and Cole. They're the front man, you know. And they went, no, we want you and Lee, because the blockheads were carrying, and they're all quite small, the blockheads. So suddenly I had this flipping lesson in carrying coffins, and it ended up, we ended up in the Forum opposite the Talio, because they had a like wake there, career, and I had a drunk, and his son Baxter, who's now doing great music, Baxter. I took Baxter out. I said, see over there, there was a pub over there, and that's when, so actually it really did go. I ended up, at his wake opposite the first place I ever saw him. See, I hadn't really thought about that.
Yeah, it's crazy that really.
That's the end of this interview. We've run out of time.
How important was London and Camden for the band then, growing up there?
Yeah, it's a bit of a sort of music scene, and there's the punk thing, and again, that was kind of handy to us because before the punk thing, you had to be a really good musician to get a gig, and that kind of broke it down a bit. Do you know what I mean? And when we first went to the Dublin Castle, I think we were lying about our expertise, but as soon as the owner, saw how much beer people were buying, he loved us, So that's how we got in, through that sort of circuit of these little clubs and pubs. But yes, that was important, to be a part of it.
Do you miss playing them small clubs in a way?
Sometimes, I mean, I know, like in the early years, we never wanted to do arenas and things, so we would do 7 nights at the Hammersmith Odeon, instead of 1 night at Wembley. When we came back, we suddenly, we're doing these arenas, right? And I remember saying, getting a bit sick of this. Why don't we do tour of smaller venues? And we did this tour. We did about, with like I think it's the Newcastle Apollo. They were quite small. They were, still a few thousand seater, but I think anything smaller than that, and it starts to get very complicated. Like, oh, let's do a charity gig in the Dublin Castle, but it costs so much to do it, to pay everyone and to get the equipment in and stuff, that it's not big enough. But it is fun doing small places. We haven't done anywhere really small for a while, but it's fun. Yeah, it is fun. But I wouldn't want to make a habit of it.
When you first started playing live, did you get used to it straight away, or did it take a while for you to get used to it?
I mean, I was never nervous because I was never nervous, because I didn't have to sing. I was more worried there'd be a fight than being nervous about being on stage. But yeah, I think we had our own little thing, and then we got Chaz, he added a lot, the dancing and stuff. And then when we saw the specials, we were like, oh yeah, so we started moving around more. These days, not so much.
What was it like being part of the scene with the specials and Selector and stuff like that?
It was quite incredible, that we started, and I always say, if you start in a band, unless you're like really incredibly talented, as some people are, they just started doing their own songs, but we didn't have any songs. So we were doing, Jailhouse Rock and stuff like that, and the Coasters. And I think it's like when Suggs joined, he brought Prince Buster Madness. And so we started doing that because we really liked, ska and reggae. And we thought no one else is doing it, so we slowly stopped doing all the well-known songs. started doing them, started writing our own songs. And then it was kind of quite amazing that this band comes from Coventry, like I never really heard of Coventry, as being a musical centre of the world sort of thing. And like, blimey, they're doing the same sort of thing. It wasn't like, I don't know, it wasn't like jumping on the bandwagon. We were the bandwagon, we were all the bandwagon, and then we met them and we played with the specials, and it was like, oh wow. And then we did the two-tone tour. But we were never like, people go, Madness, ska. No, we were never, we never said, oh, I don't even think we could play it properly. We just used to put an offbeat on things. Like Night Boat's Cairo, One Step Beyond, Baggy Trousers, maybe. Yeah, do you know what I mean? There's a few. But then we wrote other, on the first album, there's a song called Razor Blade Alley, which is almost like jazz. And there's a song called Rockin' in A Flat that's kind of rock and roll. We've never been, people like to do that and put the book by that on, and, God bless them. Well, why don't Madness get back to doing ska? Well, we never did. Listen to our first album. It's pretty diverse,
Yeah,
But anyway, it was really great, That tour was fantastic, yeah.
You kind of changed with the times as the years went on as well, didn't you, with your music style?
I mean, again, it's not. I think the first two albums, we were a bit like, I was sticking offbeat on it, like. And then I think the third album, we went to Nassau. We changed quite a bit, but we've never really, yeah, all right. Sometimes you think, oh, I like that song, I'll do something a bit like that. But we've never really done that. You just kind of write songs and they come out, how they, you try and get them to come out how they are in your head. So it's never like, right, let's change direction. Do you know what I mean? Some of the songs on the last album are really old. They're really old. They've been knocking around for years. 20 years maybe. There's just finally kind of drawing a line under them. He's good. So no, we've never really had a like, oh, we're gonna go dance music. Never really had much of a plan like that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. You mentioned before you started off doing covers. So when did you start writing your own songs? How did that come about?
Well, the first song, one of the first songs was The Prince, which was our first single. And it was a very like, closely related to a couple of Prince Buster songs, which Lee wrote. And I remember thinking, and then Mike wrote My Girl, which I thought was amazing, and I just thought they can write songs. I wasn't really interested in writing a song. So I lived in this council flat, the wife and the kid. And Suggs used to come round, and he came round and I went, I've got these chords. And he was like, hold on, and he, we literally wrote this song in my son's bedroom. And suddenly it's bang, like the whole thing exploded. Like I can write songs, and I've always thought anyone can really, if they kind of put their mind to it. If you think of a little tune or some lyrics or so most of us we started writing songs,
What was that tune you mentioned there, that Baggy Trousers?
No, it's called In the Middle of the Night.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, jing 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 jing. Yeah.
I've just got a few songs here that I'd like to know how they came about, because I'm always like fascinated to know how the songs come about, like how they come from nothing. So how did Baggy Trousers? How did that one happen?
Yeah, that I mean, I had the chords for that. What we used to do, we'd go to a rehearsal room, and people would go, "I've got this song, I've got this," and it really was, written on a bit of paper. And I had the chords of Baggy Trousers, and I wanted it to be like more of a rock song, you know. And what we would do was the the musical members of the band, or the more musical members, we'd get these ideas down on a cassette, and then often like Lee or Suggs would go off and come back with lyrics. But often, Mike would have a song with the lyrics, or he'd have it all in his head, you know. So we'd do that. So yeah, we had this baggy trousers thing, and it wasn't all that. And then Suggs came up with a ding, 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 ding. He came at that. And then we put a bit of the old offbeat on, and off we went. And the bit that goes do 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 do. I can't, just I said, oh look, do you know what I mean? I just didn't spend hours in the loft, you know, writing it. But that's how we used to write. Yeah. And then Clive Langer, who produced a lot of our best work, he would come along. He's a good musician too. And he'd go, oh, he'd suggest things, change them. We sometimes, usually could. Yeah.
What about like our house then? Was that the same then?
It was the same kind of thing. Yeah, I had I think when I wrote that, I split up with my wife and I was living with my brother in a council flat. And Dave Robertson, he was the boss of Stiff Records, and we all, I'm still good friends with him. He's a real character. He gave us these brilliant little things like little cassette players, right? They were like a ghetto blaster, but they almost looked military. They were kind of, khaki colour, but they were brilliant. I mean, if I could get one now, they had a little drum machine in, right? And you could record 2 tracks on them. They were like, and I got the old drum machine and I wrote records of our house. And I'll tell you what, hold on, pause it. No, you can't really pause it.
Yeah, no worries, yeah.
Let's see if I can show you.
I can't hear it.
It's terrible anyway. It was like a real dirge. It was a real, it was just dang, dang, dang. Anyway, Carl had said, we were doing this album called Rise and Fall. And he said, he's great ideas. Like, we should all write a song about our childhood, which our house, was about his childhood. And, I mean, a lot, a lot of people go, oh, yeah, it's my idea. I think we just tried loads of different ways. And we said, oh, we do it like Motown, And again, like the guitar solo, it's not a massive one. I thought all that up in the studio. I thought, loads of it up in the studio when we were recording it. And I mean, that's one thing, when I do interviews in America, they go, yeah, ska, ska, buddy. I go, well, hold on, because it was a hit in America. Got to number 5. I said, well, is our house ska? It's not. It's more like Motown, than anything else. But that's a sort of how things used to go. Yeah, sometimes I'd have stuff written down, but at that stage, we didn't really have. I didn't really have the facilities to record things.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, now these days it's like a finished product when you turn up.
A song like Wings of a Dove, where all the band members have got a credit. How does that one come about?
I don't know how that came about, but I do remember. No, I think it just says Smith and McPherson. But I know that, again, Carl was going, I'm going to write a song called Wings of the Dove. I'm going to write, and I think we were at Suggs's house and there's me, Carl Suggs, and Mark Bedford, maybe Lee. We were all sitting around a piano, because Barzo wasn't. He was away. He was on holiday or something. He wasn't really involved. And again, it just came. I'm trying to think, maybe Clive Lang had quite, he had a bit to do with Our House, Clive. I must say, I think Our House, that was the chorus. He kind of emphasised it. Do you know what I mean? Like Our House, made it like cut it down short, and all that changing key at the end. Yeah.
Like on this new album, you've got a song credit of your own on "Set Me Free, Let Me Be." How did that all come about then?
What do you mean?
Like, what was the inspiration behind that song?
Well, that's a good, because I think, I don't know if that was one of the first ones, on this album that I wrote. I think that it might have been. And I often I'm walking down the street and I think of a tune and sing it into my phone. And 9 times out of 10, they're rubbish. And I email them to myself and I put them in the old music program, right? See if I can find any. And next thing you know, you've got a song sometimes. And that was very easy to write. And I'd never really written many lyrics, but on this album, I wrote this thing. I wrote four lyrics. Accordions here again. Carry on. So, if I play, I'm going to be terrible, isn't it? I'll try and find a good one. Come on, play. I've got that laser song with me. Because I might find that Set Me Free thing. This is Katie Tunstall. Oh, missing file. Oh, well, I don't know where they all are. The worst thing is when you think a song up, you think a tune up, and then you realise it's enough. It's a song that exists.
Do you get that a lot then?
No, not a lot. You try and get away with it. No, I mean, there's a television series called Bergerac. You might not have heard of it. It's someone, and I did this really good tune, and then I realised it was the theme song of this bloody TV show.
I watched your documentary actually when you played at the Electric Ballroom and the Roundhouse.
Yeah.
The question was if you could give some advice to yourself now, to your younger self in '79, and you said you wish you'd have got a songwriting credit on Bed and Breakfast Man. What happened there?
Yeah, still basically, we had this mate called John Hasler, who was very influential in the whole thing of the band because he knew people and he was in the band and he's a great guy. But Mark Bedford said to me, "Oh, they call him the Bed and Breakfast Man because he turned up at someone's house and you go, oh, you got any dinner left? And he'd stay at their house. And he did it to me. I lived in a council flat. So I started writing the lyrics of Bed and Breakfast Man, and then Barzo kind of got it and he wrote the music and I think he wrote from about the middle eight when he goes, I heard he's changed a lot since then. But he wrote that. It's a bit, it still annoys me really. So he didn't give me credit, So yeah, I should have done that. And I won't talk about House of Fun.
What do you mean?
Because House of Fun didn't have a chorus. And we went to a studio specifically to try and record the chorus. And me and Suggs wrote the chorus. I wrote the music and he wrote the lyrics. And again, didn't get credited. I'll have my day in court. Gonna get all those back royalties.
Yeah, exactly. In that same documentary, though, Suggs says that he feels like when you went to record the debut album, it was like a bit too soon, but everything happened so quickly. Did you feel that at the time?
No, I think, we did the classic thing. That album is our set list. You know what I mean? That's what we were playing. So we knew all those songs. And I found, Mark Bedford found a cassette of us rehearsing. We're doing those songs, and they're really like pretty much the same. You know, Clive, he embellished a lot of them. You know, I mean, it's a funny story. Like when we did Night Boat to Cairo, he said, "I want to get some strings on it." We were like, "Strings, strings." You know, what a poncy idea is that? You know, well, if they're no good, you know, you're paying for it, and all this. You know, even then we were like, you know. So he said he was trying to get string players, and he said, "I want Egyptian style violins." They thought he said gypsy. So it's not exactly Egyptians, but it was good, you know. It was good having strings on it. Sorry, what were you on about? Yeah. I don't think. No, we were all quite confident, you know.
What was it like recording it then? Because it took, was it 10 days it took to record?
Yeah, it didn't take long because it was just, you know, go in there, bang, you know, we'd get them nailed pretty quick, you know. And yes, it didn't take long.
The band kind of hit the ground running from the start. You had 4 singles from One Step Beyond in the top 20, and then the album went to number 2. So, was there a moment when you knew it was going to take off?
Excuse me. I think when we're doing a two-tone tour, you know, there's 3 bands. And, you know, when you used to go and see bands, the first band, no one's watching them, you know. And then the second one, maybe. Then the third one, but it was packed every night, right? Now, the Selector, they had never had a single out, and we had, so we were above them, you know. But our single, The Prince, got to 16. During the course of that tour, on my radio came out, it started going up, you know. So they were like, well, you know, we're, you know, like, like they should be above us, right? And then all 3 bands were on top of the pops. We did One Step Beyond, and that was that. You know, One Step Beyond went like a rocket. You know, it went incredibly quick to like number 3. So that kind of ended that debate. But yeah, so it did happen really fast, though. Yeah, you know,
What do you think it is about Madness songs and the band that are still making them relevant today?
I think because we write about everyday things. A couple of the songs I wrote here are about stuff that happened during the COVID thing, and Barzo to Suggs. Lee's lyrics are really really good, but they're very cryptic. Like Embarrassment was about his sister having a mixed race kid. All right. Yeah, and if you're an embarrassment, her mum don't want to know you, but it never, whereas like the specials would go, just because you're a black man, just be, it'd be very obvious, but with Lee, it's very subtle, you know. So
With a song like Embarrassment at the time, then did nobody know what it was about that was listening to it?
if you read the lyrics, excuse me, it's a bit hard to tell. If you read them, it doesn't categorically say what it is that they're embarrassed about. They don't want to know this girl because you had a mixed race kid. Was the theme of the song, but it wasn't hammered home. It wasn't. You've had a black kid. You've had a mixed race kid. We don't. If it had said that, it might have, clarified it.
Yeah. There's been breaks with the band, obviously, over the years that you've been together. But when you watch like live performances and music videos, it just looks like your mates having a laugh and enjoying yourselves. Was it like that, like every day back then?
Yeah, I mean, we've had a lot of arguments, but on stage, I think I might have kicked Lee once or twice. But you know, generally, yeah, it's like, you know, you're out there doing, you know, you come to entertain people, not start having a fight like Oasis.
What do you think to the reunion?
I mean, no, I think it'd be great, you know, but you know, this thing with the tickets is appalling, you know, and that it's like the artist knows.
Really?
They don't, Ticketmaster don't just do that with everyone. You know, it's written in. You can say, I don't want you to do it. Yeah, we wouldn't allow that. And I'll tell you a funny story that probably everyone knows is that when they split up in 2009, I was a kid and we were doing a festival in Paris with them. We got off the old Eurostar and we seen Noel, you know, we're like, right, Noel, you know, I think, oh great, you know, I'm gonna see Oasis, you know, I'm made up. So there was a couple of kind of rumours. One was that there were two stages. It was just this massive kind of field. There was two stages, right? One had them and one had us. Yeah. Now we were just below them. We were on before them, right? Actually, I can debunk this theory. And people go, oh, Oasis had said they didn't want Madness on the same stage as them. But actually, from a practical point of view, we couldn't have been, because what they did, you know, while we were on, yeah, playing, the other stage, the other bands come off and they're setting Oasis stuff up. You know, they're setting all the amps up and stuff. So I don't think that theory is true. Anyway, so we go on, you know, and we're quite popular in France. You know, we had a few hits there. You know, we did a good show. We're, you know, having a little relax, you know, having a little relax and just having a margarita, you know. And the promoter comes, oh, you know, because they'd had this big fight, Oasis, and you know, Noel had gone and they weren't going to go on. So they asked us to go on again. You know, I genuinely, all right, I was a bit drunk, but I was like thinking, yeah, I don't know. The Suggs was like, I ain't going on unless we get paid again. So, but, yeah, you're right, Suggs, you're right. So we went on again. And I mean, I said to the band, we could have easily put 3 or 4 songs in that we didn't do the first time. But, you know, no one was bothered. So we do the second show, you know, and, you know, got even more hammered. And then our manager, he says to me, Chris, you speak really good French. Can you come and do some interviews? Just because I was married to a French woman. And I kind of can get away with a very basic, you know, stuff like slang, you know. So I go and do these interviews totally drunk. And yeah, I was going, you know, what a shame, you know, quel dommage, you know, quel dommage, you know, Oasis in more, you know, Oasis are dead, and you know, stuff like that. And then I started going, Mange tout, Rodney. And it was, I would like to hear that actually. It was pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, I think it's quite funny that, you know, because people are going, maybe we better support them on this tour in case they split up again. I mean, I hope, you know, I thought, you know, they were a good band.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, I think, yeah, the first, yeah, something, you know, you wrote some brilliant songs, Noel Gallagher. There's no denying it. You know, they are a bit derivative, but then who isn't derivative, you know? You know, I think Liam is a great singer. Yeah, and like, because Noel Gallagher has been, you know, he's done his own stuff, and Liam's sort of done his own stuff. I mean, Liam just did this massive tour, and he's doing Definitely Maybe. I think it was like incredibly successful.
Yeah, yeah.
So, you know, yeah, it's a shame about the ticket thing. It was, they shouldn't be allowed to do it. I've always thought, like, way back, you know, people buy tickets to see us, right? They buy 4 tickets and they have to pay a booking fee.
Yeah.
And you think, hold on, yeah, because I used to go, they're just posting them 4 tickets. This is when they were posted. Yeah, and I always have this battle with the management and the, you know, and it's all like, you know, and I'm trying to, you know, it's pretty much, you know, definite. Next year we'll do tour around Christmas, and I'm trying to do what Paul Heaton did, which is keep the price, and we're still going to make money. I don't know. In some ways, I'm not very good at not business, just mathematics. Say you have 10,000 seater, and then you selling tickets for 40 quid, and then you only sell because the tickets too. Some people have to spend hundreds of pounds, at Christmas. They want to take their kids and these days and their grandkids, and but if you charge a bit less, you'll sell more tickets. So in some ways, you might obviously like the last thing we did, like the O2, was sold out, but then maybe you do two O2s, I don't know. Anyway, I shall endeavour to not do surge pricing, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Because people got through, didn't they? And they just put it up to that much demand. Do you think they had it from the start that they knew they were going to do that then?
Well, yeah, Ticketmaster, it's like I think Uber do it, Uber cabs.
Yeah, yeah.
When it's really busy, they start charging you more. It's some kind of, it's surge pricing. Oh, that's all right then. Oh, it's the same.
Yeah, like it makes it all right.
That's all right. You go like going down a flipping supermarket and they run out of beef burgers. Oh no, these ones are like 50 quid each.
Yeah, yeah.
Cheaper than not cheaper, you know what I mean. It's not right now.
Well, speaking of like splitting up and reuniting, Madness split up in '86,
Yeah.
And then got back together in '92. When you reunite with a band after like years apart, what is it like? Is it awkward or do you hit the ground running?
Well, let me split up. I mean, the first thing was Mike left, and then we did an album without him. Everyone's frantically trying to learn piano, for some reason. We did an album without him called Mad Not Mad, which is like some of the band are very negative about it. But what's his name? Tim Burgess, the Charlatans.
Yeah, Tim Burgess, yeah.
He did this brilliant thing during COVID called his listening party. And he's a lovely guy. And what it is, did you know what it was? It's like you get an album and you're at home and you play the album and then he's interviewing me, like talking about the tracks as they're playing. And the first time I totally blew it, Boomer did the wrong link. Anyway, no, actually it wasn't really to do with that. Because we never got to Mad Not Mad. We've been re-releasing the albums on vinyl. And I said we should do sleeve notes where we talk about a song. So just to make it a bit more of an interesting package. We did Mad Not Mad. And I listened to it and I thought, you know what, it ain't that bad. There's some really good songs on there. I mean, there's one I wrote called Burning the Boats. It was totally not how I wanted it to be. It was terrible. But it's a good song. But yeah, sorry. So we did that, and then we split up. But then four of us carried on, like me, Suggs, Carl, and Lee, and we were called The Madness. And we did an album which was songs we'd been working on before we split. And it was a bit, but again, it's not. There's some good songs on there. So really, I'm just saying that took us up to about 1988, and then Lee and I started a band. And then, Madness is sort of like tumbleweed, like nobody. And if I had a trumpet, I'd be blowing it. But I was still involved with Virgin Records. They had our back catalogue, right? So they said, "Oh, we want to do this greatest hits thing." Well, not greatest hits. They were like compilations. And it's quite interesting. One was called It's Madness. And I mean, the artwork was terrible. I was trying to get the artwork down. But I helped them pick the tracks and everything, and the running order. And what it was, these albums are quite weird. They were sold in garages, right? They were sold in garages. And I know they were sold in places that wouldn't make them go in the charts. Do you know what I mean? Garages aren't chart return things. But they sold a respectable amount of these albums. So they did another one, and it's called It's Madness 2. That's fucking pretty good. um, then they were like, well, we should do a greatest hits because we'd done Complete Madness right back, with Dave Robinson. And when we did Complete Madness, Dave Robinson got a survey done, which was interesting, which still was, because I read the survey, and it said you've got to make it look like a new album, right? So you have new photo of the band, These. If anyone's doing a greatest hits album, that's one thing. And then you don't call it greatest hits. You call it, so we called it Complete Madness, because it's a good phrase. And then we did another one called Utter Madness, actually. And I mean, now since then, we've done quite a lot of compilations. Anyway, this one's called Divine Madness. Even though Bette Midler had done an album called that, but we let it go. We did this ad campaign, and I knew it was going to be big. I knew this thing was going to be big because I was putting together a compilation video to go with it. I was editing this video, and I remember I said, if we'd have chipped in to the ad campaign, we'd have got bigger royalty. But anyway, that's all by the by. So this album comes out and did incredibly well, and It Must Be Love came out. It got in the top 10, I think. And everyone's like, really banging on to Reform it. Now, I was doing this thing with Lee, and I was like having quite a happy little time, down in the minor leagues, playing in little clubs. And we're starting to get somewhere, it's very hard. So I said, I don't want to, I didn't want to do it. But then I never want to do anything, And Chaz was ringing me all the time, but he was kind of because he was so like, and I think it was like Mike Barson and Suggs that talked me around, to the idea of doing it. I mean, I think I was always like, it's a shame that we didn't happen to all just do it organically because we wanted to do it rather than because we're going to get all this money, So we did it, and it was like amazing. It sold. It was Finsbury Park. We sold 30,000 tickets, and then did another one. And there's another thing I can moan about is that they went to Morrissey, and I said, "Let me get Morrissey." I like Morrissey, but I said, we should get the Farm or someone because it's a bit more our audience would like. And of course, poor old Morrissey got all stuff chucked at him, and then he didn't come the next day. And what really got me was the NME, magazine was very popular. They do all these things because he had a Union Jack on. There's all this crap that he's a racist and that he said that, and it overshadowed what we'd done. The whole thing suddenly was all about Morrissey and he's and he's still quite a controversial character. I mean, I like him. I know like he says some stupid things, but he's one of them great English, contrary curmudgeons, and he's written some great lyrics. So anyway, so yeah, we did the Finsbury Park thing, and we did this big comeback, and then they were going, oh, let's do a Christmas tour. I said, no, you said it was just one thing. I'm not doing a Christmas tour, So they said, oh, all right, we'll just say that you've broken your arm. All right. And then I kind of thought, and then we did a Christmas tour, and that's that. We've been back longer than we were around the first time. I mean, I left about 20 years ago. I just had enough of, because it started, they were doing this covers album, and I wasn't getting on with Chaz, and I just sort of had enough. I just wanted a break. And I moved to Brighton from London. That was in 2006 that I moved up here, down here, not up. But yeah, there you have it, and we, and it's good that we do new stuff. It took a long, the first album we did was called Wonderful, the first new one. And that was like a long time after we'd reformed, And then we did the Norton Folgate. That's right, I left, and they they were doing the Norton Folgate thing, and I went to see them. I thought, this is interesting. This sounds really good. You know, I would like to be involved in this. And I went and did some guitar, and then I came back into the fold, you know. And then Mark Bedford left, who's one of my best mates in the band. You know, I never really argued with him, shall we say.
So, like, you know, to the Madstock shows, I know you said like Morrissey kind of overshadowed it, but what was it like when you were back on stage with Madness?
It was like, what? We'd never played to that many people, you know, on our own. Well, we had, you know, we'd done festivals, but this was our own show. They'd come to see us. It wasn't like the next day nobody came because Morrissey wasn't on, you know, because we had Flowered Up on, who were like mates of ours, who were kind of like they were really good. Ian Dury, you know, it was a good bill. It was a really good bill actually. I mean, I wanted to get my band on with me and Lee, and that was a bit pissed me off, you know, because we were called the Nutty Boys, which was like a bit. I changed it to Crunch years later. The Suggs was going, oh, people will get confused. I thought they won't get confused. You know, it was a bit like snidey, you know, that we didn't do it. You know, it would have been good. It would have been good for the guys in my band, you know, to go and play to a lot of people.
What do you feel of like the controversies over the years? Like in the early days, you'd be like, what's the right word? Like the National Front, and is that right? Would they be at your shows and that, and it'd kind of give a bad name?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we didn't have anyone back in the band. We did. We chucked him out. We did actually. This mate of ours, Eddie Joseph. You know, he was a really good drummer, and he came in. Some can't remember it, but he came and rehearsed with us. But he was more like a soul boy. You know. Anyway, yeah. I mean, obviously, so we got kind of like, you know, and that they were at every gig. You know, it's very unpleasant. You know, that was the sort of thing we used to get nervous about. Was that, you know, that there were sort of racist people there, and you know, just people. A lot of the time, it's like a lot of things now. You know, these kind of riots. But are the people all really there because of that, or because they like going and smashing things up? You know, I mean, I used to like smashing things up, I understand, but it's like, you know, when are you part of the ideology, or you know, you just like go to any old thing, you know?
Yeah. Would it kick off then at gigs? Would it be violent most times? And like,
Yeah, not all the time, but sometimes, yeah, there'd be fights. Yeah, I mean, there still is. It still is. You know, you're doing like It Must Be Love, and there's two people punching each other. You know, just usually you will find common denominator is drink.
yeah, yeah, definitely.
Mm.
Well, you mentioned like you got back together and you had the album out in '99, then you left and came back and stuff. So you've done 6 albums and countless shows since you've been back together. What have the last 32 years been like?
They've been eventful, you know. I mean, Christ, I got married twice in that period. Married twice, and I had like 3 kids in that period. And it's been, you know, I mean, I'm always like not a fly in the ointment. I'm always complaining about something, you know. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm not, but I never admit it when I'm not right. But you know, I think with us, we always the way the band developed was kind of organic in that it turns out we all knew each other. We all our paths crossed. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, everyone's paths crossed. But you know, like Lee and Mike, I've known them since I was like 15. You know, and I'm in 68. That's a long time, isn't it? And obviously, we're not as close as we were. but sometimes we all sit in the dressing room, you know, and we have a laugh. You know, we have a laugh. You know, we have the general kind of same kind of sense of humour, films, music. You know, generally, I think right back in the two-tone tour, the selector and the specials, they were always arguing and like, oh, so, like, you know, do you know what I mean? They didn't seem to get on. I think another thing is, though, important thing is, it's not like one person writing the songs. You know, everybody writes, or, you know, in our band, writes and contributes to the songs. Because we have a principle where if someone, say two people write a song, right? And say that song earned £100. Just, it's not a very good song, only half of it goes to the two people that wrote it, you know, 50 quid. The other 50 quid goes to all 7 members. Yeah. You know, and a lot of people don't do that. I don't think, I mean, I don't think Noel Gallagher does it, for example. And I mean, Liam Gallagher, man, he do you know what I mean? He's my imagination. You know, he is, you know, I think Noel said it, didn't he, just before they got back together. He sort of summed it up as like his voice is like a pint of Guinness, you know, Noel Gallagher's. Liam's like 10 tequilas, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
He's a good singer, you know, and he's like, you know, everybody has those opinions, you know, yeah, they kind of like swear all the time and, you know, but some of the things they say are very funny, you know.
Something I find a bit bizarre since the reunion is we haven't really heard out from any of them. Is that normal that like there hasn't been like an interview or a press conference or we haven't really seen them together?
They probably still hate each other. I don't know. You know, it is like, you know, I'm kind of thinking, will they make it? Will they fall out again? You know, but how much of it is like, can you really not talk to your brother for 15 years?
And then
You
just yeah.
know, you can, I suppose. I mean, but you know, yeah, I don't know. I mean, why would they have to do interviews? You know, you tell me. You know, they've like put these tickets on the show. It's been an absolute bum fight.
Yeah, well they haven't even come
Uh,
out and spoke
They,
about that
they
really, have they?
don't need to, you know, usually you do interviews to promote something you're doing. I mean, I'm doing this for you because you're an up and coming guy, and you asked me, you know, and I like sitting talking about myself, and what, you know, and it has made me think, you know, talking to you, a couple of things. Oh, yeah, Ian Dury, you know, it's quite how that worked out. But you know, a lot of people. I mean, did Prince ever give interviews? You know, you don't have to. You don't have to, and you don't have to like be paparazzied. You know, a lot of people just, you know, like Paul McCartney. I remember seeing him years ago in Regent's Park pushing his kid in a pram. You know, no like bodyguards, and you think that John Lennon got shot.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, some people are like that, and you know, so they don't need to promote anything, do they? The money's in the bank. You know, I know the promoter actually, so I might be able to get a ticket. He does us. He promotes us. You know, he's good. I'll have a word with him, see if we can do dynamic flipping.
Another thing I wanted to actually, speaking of like how you keep your prices, try to keep prices fair and stuff. I think it's great how you are with fans. Like I saw the Madness website where you answer questions on the forum
Yeah,
and stuff, and the Axe Cam videos that you did.
yeah.
Is there any more of that?
Well, actually, it's funny, like, because the Madness website, it was linked to my email, so I used to get all these questions, and I've just like totally neglected it. I don't seem to have had any. It's probably some like glitch, you know, where I haven't received any. And the meet and greet thing, I don't know. I just did that for a laugh, you know. I haven't really met anyone lately, um, because that I just started doing it. Yeah, like meeting famous people and going, hello, yeah. It's quite funny. and the Axcam thing was, I had this phone. When back when you used to go on how small the phone was. I had this Samsung phone, and it was a slider one, and it was a little oval thing, and it was really, I thought, well, if I tape it onto my strap, I started like filming bits of the show. The amount of video cameras I bought, you wouldn't believe, and you can never get one that has good quality film and good quality audio, you know. And recently, what I do now is during It Must Be Love, we break it down to an a cappella bit. So I get my mobile phone and film because it's lovely, and the audience are all singing it and fighting and we love. But yes, that's another thing. Yeah, I bought a GoPro the other day because I think GoPros the film quality is amazing, but the audio, I had one of the very first GoPros, and the sound quality wasn't very good. But it's kind of fun, doing that.
You'd think there'd be somewhere in this day and age where you could get the audio and the
Yeah.
video.
Well, I mean, actually, mobile phones seem to do it quite well, which is quite interesting. Should work away. I mean, recently it's really funny. I had this little, because I'm just obsessed with buying these bloody cameras, right? There was this Nikon camera, and it had a little clip-on thing that you could clip it in, right? And I thought, this is good. So I said to my guitar guy, I'll put some Velcro on it and put it on. I thought, this is going to be great. And I kept it, and what it was, I hadn't really read the instructions. And the clip holder is bloody stupid. It's like every time you put it in, it would automatically turn the camera off. Don't ask me how. So every time I was putting it in, it was turning it off, Then I got him to then I put it on top of the amp and it fell over. So then I said, can you put some blue tack on the amp, And then I'd sort of given up. And I did that, and then there's this bit of blue tack on the amp, it looked like a bit of chewing gum, Don't need it anymore, Jeff. Bless you.
So before you mentioned, did you say there's a chance that Madness could be touring at Christmas next year?
Yeah, around about that time, shall we say, at the end of the year. So start saving your money up, everyone.
What else can we expect from the band? I know you've had the album last year. Is there any more songs or album?
I was thinking that we've got 3 shows coming up next week. That's it. That is it, theoretically. That's it. Till like next year. But who knows, because our management are going on about Australia, going back to America, going to Europe, in the summer. I mean, I was kind of trying to say to everyone, let's do another album, but I've got enough personal things going on at the moment to not really focus on that, But I think, my ideal game plan is do another album and get it out just before next year's tour. But, not 19 tracks this time. So there's never really, plan, and then people are always going away for a month. Like Tombo, well, I'm going to go and live in Australia or something. He's always doing something like that, Tombo.
What do you do then when the touring stops and you've got time off? Are you writing or are you spending time with family? What do you do?
Well, I'm about a year ago, I split up with my wife. So I'm like living in a bungalow. It sounds terrible, doesn't it? But it's really nice actually. And I'm currently going to buy a house and get myself a bit settled again. It's not like terrible situation. We've got 2 kids, although they're quite old. One's 22 and one's 18. So the 22-year-old, he's got a job. He seems to be, so that's kind of occupying me a bit. Like trying to buy a house because I keep going away, and then there's something to do, and trying to save some money up. And we've got a new in November. a new, kind of record deal thing. So that may lead to, shall we do an album? But it's all a bit. There's never really this, you know, there never has been. Sometimes we have a bit of a plan, but there's never like this steady go to work every week thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, like I say about writing songs the other day, I thought of a little tune. If you don't, some people can, I could go in a room, got a room here, with music stuff, and just sit in there for an hour every day. And I have got, I mean, it's amazing, on a computer, tons of songs that I'm working on. And some of them are like years old, and it is totally brilliant. You just go and press the button, and there it is. You think, oh, that's quite good. And a while ago, I had a few little, little. And I started thinking all these lyrics up, and singing them and recording them. And I can't. Some of them were all right. Just like off the top of my head. Obviously, some of them were rubbish. Probably most of them. So yeah, I just survive. See the kids every now and then, things like that. Grandkids live around the corner. Yeah, I just went away to Italy for a couple of weeks, and the grandkids came. With my son, of course. He's also split up with his wife. Must be something in the water. Yes, I don't really. Yeah, and it's terrible. Yeah, I don't really go out much. I used to go out quite a lot, but yeah, I'm a bit of a blooming hermit.
What is everything okay? Like, are you?
No, I'm all right. I'm all right. A year ago, I was a bit upset. But yeah, I'm all right. I just like, just poodle along. And I've got mates around here and stuff. Yeah, one of my old mates from right back in the 80s discovered he lives near me.
Really?
Be concerned. It's very kind of you.
So, what have you? Just to finish off, how would you like yourself and the band to be remembered when it's all done?
Some good guys, to make good music and cared. We cared, I suppose. Just, I mean, I don't, I'm sure there's people that hate Madness, but generally, we seem to be liked. Most people like us, despite the fact we were all racists in the 80s. But yeah, so it's quite nice to be.
Yeah, definitely.
Suggs, people like him. They see him in the street, and he's quite good with it. Although I think sometimes it gets a bit annoying. He's quite good not being recognised. I mean, I get recognised sometimes, but a lot of people go, "All right, Tomo." They always think I'm Tomo, because they kind of know I'm in Madness and I'm bald and I'm a bit overweight. But I think done all right, done very well, and I think there's still more to do. But I thought, like Suggs said, he read some old interview, and yeah, when he was young, and he's going, "There's no way I'll be singing baggy trousers when I'm 30." But like, I kind of look at the Rolling Stones and I think, how are they still up there doing it? I don't want to be doing it when I'm 80.
I saw Suggs say that they've put like the retirement age up in like music.
Yeah.
Do you think you'll still be doing it at that age?
The Rolling Stones, I mean, yeah, they did a new album and it was pretty good actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, they go and do these massive tours. But you just think, I'll tell you one thing. Ronnie Wood, he does their set lists. And he's an artist, isn't he? And these set lists are like a work of art. And they're really nicely written. And it's also really good to have what key the songs are in. And then I thought, I don't know, I don't do many songs. We do like 22. She's pushing it. I think they're like 15 or 16. I thought, how's that work? Yeah, then you get Bruce Springsteen 4 bloody hours.
Jeez, yeah.
So, excuse me, I'll go home. You know, I went to see him at Reading, and I know he's the boss, and it's all like high intensity, and it's incredible. And but you know, really, it's like when a film's too long.
Yeah,
But,
yeah. Yeah, you've got to find that right balance, haven't you, really? Like you don't need too short or
yeah,
too much, yeah. So yeah, that's everything. Chris, thank you for joining me on the podcast. It's been great to speak to you.
yeah.